and this is part 4 of Upapada Lagna. Now in this part I'm going to tell you how to study the Upapada Lagna. For that you need to see the first 3 parts so as to know what will be required in this video. Okay, so first of all you need to know how to calculate Upapada Lagna, which is in the part 1. Then you need to know what are the karkas which are required to see in Upapada Lagna. So there are 2 main karkas that are required in the Upapada Lagna. One is the Atma Karka, the planet with the highest degree. Second will be the Dhara Karka, the planet with the lowest degree. Apart from this, you need to know how Jaimini aspects work, which is given in the part 2 of this video. So Jaimini aspects are very different than Parashar planet aspects, so you definitely need to see that video. Next thing you'll need to see is the yoga formation, the Raj Yogas and Dhan Yogas from the Upapada Lagna. For that you need to see the part 3. Lastly, you'll need to see how the ascendant of the Upapada Lagna is placed and what is the condition of the first 7th axis. So now we'll take one example so as to study how Upapada Lagna works. Now this is the first example which I mentioned in the very first video as well. So in this, what you need to see is, now this we have a Lagna which is Virgo rising or Virgo ascendant. Okay, and I hope you guys know how to read normally, how to interpret astrological charts, right? So for this we need to see where the Upapada Lagna falls. The 12th house is Leo and the lord of Leo, which is Sun, is in the 6th house in Aquarius. So our Upapada Lagna becomes 7 places from the placement of Sun, which is, it lands itself into the 12th house. Now in the next image, this is the Upapada Lagna for this particular ascendant. Okay, so we'll study and apply all the factors in this ascendant. Now first of all you need to see where the ascendant lord is going, and is it forming any specific yoga, and it is definitely making a very nice Raj Yoga. So what is it that the ascendant lord is going into the 7th house, which is the Trikon, and Kendra lord is going into the Kendra house, which is also conjunct with one more Kendra planet, which is Venus. So the lords of 1st house and 10th house are conjunct in the 7th house. So that makes a very powerful Raj Yoga. Now what this placement particularly shows me is that your person, your spouse, whoever this chart is, this ascendant's person or spouse is going to be a person who wants to live a royal lifestyle and has a very bold personality and wants to be treated as a royal person. Okay, the other thing I also see is that such person will be very comfortable in regards of finances and his or her position in their career. The other thing you see is that somehow the person's spouse, we are just talking about the spouse now, we won't talk about the person whose ascendant we used to derive the Upapada Lagna. So the native's spouse is going to rise after, their luck is going to rise after the marriage. And the other thing we also see is that they will be at a very good and strong position in their life and will also be into a lot of charity work, helping. Their life will be all about other people, serving them and gaining respect from them. So that's a very strong Upapada Lagna and very strong individual as well. And one thing I want to discuss here is that benefics are always welcomed in first 7th axis of the Upapada Lagna. Now here we have benefics, and Sun is considered to be a benefic when it comes to Upapada Lagna, because Sun is a helpful planet in marriage. Though it will bring ego issues, and a lot of pride in the marriage, but still it acts as a benefit when it comes to Upapada Lagna. So first seventh axis is very nicely placed, and there are no aspects of any planets on the seventh house. Now, how did we judge that? You can see the video, which is in part 2, that what are the aspects, what are the Jaimini aspects, right? But here I'll discuss it shortly, that all the fixed signs, Leo, all the fixed signs 5, 8, 11 and 2, these are the fixed signs, and these will be aspected by movable signs. Only the sign which is right next to the fixed sign, which we are looking the aspects for, that won't be considered. So for Aquarius, the sign which is the movable, so now the movable signs which are 4, 7, 10 and 1. So these are the movable signs which will aspect the fixed signs. So when we are talking particularly about the sign of Aquarius, we won't consider the sign of Capricorn aspecting Aquarius because it is right next to it. So Aquarius will receive the aspects from Cancer, Libra and Aries. Since there are no planets in these signs, it means that no planet is aspecting the seventh house, which is a plus. Okay, less the aspects, more is the benefits, I guess. Okay, and the other thing we also see that it is, let me see if it is making any dhan yogas. Yes, we also have dhan yogas here, but it is somehow a dhan yoga, a bit tricky one, which means that we have 5th lord conjunct with the 11th lord with the 6th lord in the 6th house. So it means that there will be financial gains, of course there will be, but there are going to be some conflicts and arguments related to it, related to finances, related to intelligence of dealing in the marriage, but it will be, however, overcome by the person. So that is actually how we judge Upapada Lagna. Okay, let me tell you one thing. If the ascendant lord of the Upapada Lagna somehow falls in 6th, 8th or 12th, then it is a matter of problem. Or if Rahu Ketu axis or malefics are in the first 7th of the Upapada Lagna, then it does tell me that there will be some complications and challenges when it comes to marriage. However, if the ascendant lord is placed in the Trikonas or in the Kendras, then it is a very good position, and it is not welcomed in Dushtanas and even in the 3rd house. So if suppose, for example, we have an Upapada Lagna which is Cancer ascendant and moon is placed in the 3rd house in the sign of Virgo, or in the 6th house in the sign of Sagittarius, in the 8th house in the sign of Aquarius, or in the 12th house in the sign of Gemini, this placement of the Upapada Lagna is not very welcomed. And the other thing, you'll need to see the Atmakarka and Dharakarka placements from the Upapada Lagna, and same goes for it, that if the Dharakarka and Atmakarka are placed in the Kendras and Trikonas, that is considered as a good position. But if it is placed in the Dushtanas or in the 3rd house, then it is considered as a bad position. And if in the rest of the houses, it is neutral. So these things are to be taken care of. Now, tips and tricks which is related to Upapada Lagna that I personally have observed a number of times for at least 100 charts is that whichever Lagna you have as your Upapada Lagna, like for example, we'll take one example in this. We have done 3 examples, right? So we'll take this one where we have Leo ascendant and the 12th house is Cancer ascendant. Now this is the Upapada Lagna for this person, right? Now here you'll see the Upapada Lagna is Cancer. So now what you'll see is that this person's actual spouse will have either Cancer ascendant in the Navamsha or in the natal chart, or that person is going to have major planets like moon, sun, or any major planets in the sign of Cancer. And one more condition is with that is that this person's actual spouse, Upapada Lagna of his spouse can also have 7th house as Cancer as well. I hope I'm making it quite clear and understandable. That I'll repeat it again, that the person who is the spouse of this particular ascendant, actual spouse, not hypothetical, but the actual spouse will have their Upapada Lagna as Capricorn. So the 7th sign will be the Cancer. So these 3 conditions I have seen playing out in almost 100 charts. Any of these 3 conditions can be there. So that makes it very easy to judge that if a person is meant for you or not. Right? The other trick with Upapada Lagna you'll see will be is that you can also use transits from the Upapada Lagna. You can also judge them. And if the transit of Jupiter, Saturn, or even Rahu, since Rahu is a Bhoga Karka, if these 3 planets are somehow activating the 1st 7th axis of Upapada Lagna, the 2nd house of Upapada Lagna, the 5th house, the 9th house, or the 11th house, if all these houses are being activated and the dasha is also promising the marriage, then definitely a person is going to get married during that period. So these are the 2 main tricks that I have seen practically working for most of the people. Guys, this was my analysis regarding the Upapada Lagna. I hope by the end of part 4, you people are aware of how to judge and predict through your own Upapada Lagna. Do let me know your observations in the comment below. If you guys would like to have your personal readings from me, you can check out the link below. I was going to say sorry, below here, www.anmolastrology.com, and under the consultation section you can book a personal reading for yourself. Okay guys, thank you, bye bye.